All right, what's going on, Fantasy World? It's your boy Hot Soup Man coming to you for the Week 13 Underachievers. Womp, 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 womp. You know those guys, man, that are top 10 starts. Everybody's like, stick them in your lineup, get them started. They're going to do this, they're going to do that, and did absolutely nothing. That's right. We're going to start with number one off the board. Justin Herbert had a terrible outing this week. He was the number 20th quarterback in fantasy scoring, 7.9 points. That's it. This man threw for 212 yards, no picks, no touchdowns, no nothing. They got shut down. Austinekeler has been a shell of himself, and I don't see it changing. Austinekeler is no longer the RB1 that we once saw in previous years. Sorry for those who got him in the first round, but he is not it, which is also reflecting on Justin Herbert's play. However, that was a hard matchup. There will be better days. Justin Herbert is too good of a quarterback to be throwing up these terrible numbers. Don't worry if you are a Justin Herbert owner. Do not stress. Make sure you get him in your lineups. It was a bad week. Number two quarterback that was an underachiever, and I called it in my top 5 sits in week 13, Baker Mayfield. That's right. Baker Mayfield ended up with 10.8 fantasy points. He was the number 16 quarterback. I believe he dropped to 17 last night after that Sunday game. Baker Mayfield went off for 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 10 points. That's it. Listen, I remember a guy, and he was inboxing me. You're benching Baker Mayfield. What's wrong with you? Carolina's defense is terrible. I said, I'll circle back around to you on Sunday, my brother. Listen, Baker Mayfield going against Carolina's secondary. Carolina's secondary is tough. They're number 2 against the quarterback. They give up gobs on the ground. But when it comes to that air, man, they shutting quarterbacks down. They may have a terrible defense overall, but they are shutting quarterbacks to low numbers. I try to tell y'all, man, Baker Mayfield flopped. Number 3 off my underachiever board. And this hurt a lot of owners. And he has not been what he was at the beginning of the season. DeAndre Swift flopped. This man had 13 yards on the ground, 7 yards through the air. That's it. 3 fantasy points for DeAndre Swift. Terrible outing. He will have better days, but with what I've been seeing from that Eagles offense is they have been taking it to the air. I say DeAndre Swift is a matchup-dependent running back, meaning if it's a good matchup, start him. If it's not, sit him, find somebody else to do the job. Our next running back off the board, who I just talked about, Austinekeler. Austinekeler had 14 rushes for 18 yards. That is 1.1 yard per carry. That's right. Terrible statistics for Austinekeler. He also only had 2 receptions for 9 yards, good for 3.7 fantasy points. He absolutely flopped. Has been flopping. I go another route with this guy. I don't see Austinekeler being a big target in that offense right now. He is just not getting it done. Shell of himself. Maybe he should jump off that fantasy show and start focusing on what he got to do to get it done on the field. Yeah. And number 3 running back off the board, Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, he hurt fantasy owners this week. Only ended up with 5.9 fantasy points. He had 8 rushes for 60 yards, 1 reception for -6 yards. Just not a day that we thought we would see out of Jahmyr Gibbs. He will have better days. He is a guaranteed lock. This is just a situation where he had a bad game. Next off the board, and he was on my top 5 sits last week, terrymclaurin. 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 points, 0 swagger. Yeah, I told y'all to bench him. Next receiver off our board, Drakelondon. Man, Drakelondon 6'5". Ain't no way Drakelondon should be ending a game with 1 catch for 8 yards. That's right, 1.3 fantasy points in standard scoring this week. Drakelondon's going to have better days. He's a matchup-dependent receiver. If it's a good defense, you got to bench him. Soft defense, get him in your game. Plus, that quarterback play is terrible right now. I want him in a different situation. Either get a quarterback in Atlanta, Drake, or go find you a quarterback. Next receiver off the board, who I thought would have a comeback, bounce back game, and I started him in 2 leagues, and he flopped on me. Again, Adam Thielen. He was hot at the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, he is not. Adam Thielen goes off for 3 receptions, 25 yards, good for 4 points in fantasy scoring this week. Terrible outing, terrible game, just all around terrible performance, man. Adam Thielen, where you at? You are a shell of yourself. Come back. We need you. And my next underachiever is going to be a tight end, Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas had a 2-point conversion. That's it. 1 reception, 2-point conversion. Man had 2 points in fantasy scoring this week. He's going to have better days, but Sam Howell, man, you need to get that guy to rock. He is capable and willing. Come on, man. Let's do better. And our last tight end off the board, who I thought was going to be a start from here on out, just because of the quarterback situation over in Cleveland, David Njoku, 2 receptions, 17 yards. We got to do better. We got to do better over there in Cleveland. Cleveland is looking terrible right now. If you have a defense that is facing Cleveland, start them. Those are your top 10 underachievers for week 13. Come check us out on our next episode for our top 10 overachievers for the week. It's your boy Hot Soup. If you're looking for the recipe, I got the ingredients. Holla.